Let it be known that the true light shines in every woman and man that cometh into the world. The true light that shineth in the darkness, but the darkness comprehendeth it not. Let us all, within earshot of this true light fellowship, bear witness to the true light within, that we may, like the real and living Messiah, Yahshua Christ, whom many know today as Jesus Christ, pick up and bear our own cross, that we may be worthy of the Messiah by way of the Christ or Christ consciousness, known also as the first resurrection. And as we are now living in these times, let us all rise from our sleep and slumber and do the works of the Most High Heavenly One, this day and every day, as we say, Amun, Amun, Amun.
Well, Namastu again, and welcome to another Sunday service here at the Holy Qubtic Church in historic Bain town, Nassau, Bahamas. For those who don't know me, my name is Pastor Cleveland Enius III, and of course, I'm speaking first and foremost to our listening audience, our listening congregation. And we want to welcome those who may be listening via the radio or YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're listening to us. Come on down here any Sunday at 9 a.m. or on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. where we have our True Light Fellowship and Bible Study. And bear witness and experience the Holy Qubtic Church separating the words of men from the words of the Most High. And of course, Namastu, for those who did make it. Appreciate y'all being here and continually coming. I was talking to, what's your name again, brother? Brother Berlin. Yeah, Berlin, I'm Berlin. And we were having a nice conversation, but one of the things that came out of it is, we're a small building, but we're not a small church. We're a small building, but we're not a small church. The Holy Qubtic Church is being recognized all over the world. And that's because of you. It's not me bragging. That's because you have accepted your way of life. People are watching you. The power of Facebook and YouTube and the internet is carrying this message around the world to the point where we have people, literally saying, wow, the Bahamas is one of the places that's ahead of the game as a regards spreading atonism. And I smile because I know we're struggling. But when they say that, I receive it, and I recognize how much others are also struggling. Because if they can say that about us, that means they see things that we're getting accomplished that maybe they are struggling with. And so I want to encourage anybody around the world who's listening, and I didn't know how many people listen until I traveled. And when I'm introduced, people say, oh yeah, I know you. I listen to all your YouTube. Yeah. Put the CDs down, and they was gone in 5 minutes. I don't get a lot of feedback on Facebook, but when I travel, and I'm not saying it for me, I'm just saying it for us, we are making an impact. Because, like I always tell my brother Yellow, I say, y'all are my angels. When I pray to the Most High Heavenly One, y'all to show up. So, you understand what I'm saying? As much as I'm here for you, y'all here for me. You understand? We're here for each other. And that's kind of what our sermon is about today. And then another question, what does it mean to have your soul restored? We read the 23rd Psalm. He restored my soul. We often hear people, that's a psalm. That's one of the psalms they make you memorize in school and church and different places. And we say it often, but what does it mean? What does it mean to have your soul restored? And so by the end of today's sermon, I hope that we make it a bit clearer to you. And the reason why I say a bit clearer, because it's really an extensive conversation when you start getting into the specifics of restoring your soul. I want to just start by saying that your soul is your connection to who you truly are. Your soul is your connection to who you truly are. Okay, we talk about truth often. Every time the Messiah spoke, or as is recorded biblically, many times he started whatever he said by saying, verily, verily. Verily, verily. And that word verily is the word amun. He was saying amun, amun. Because the real and living Messiah is indeed, as we often explain to you, is indeed tut amun. And so as the amun, spoken of in Revelation chapter 3 verse 14, the faithful and true witness, he was there like we are now today to be an example of a way of life that connects you to who you truly are. Oftentimes when we hear the word soul, everybody go to metaphysics and start looking up. No, your soul is your culture. Your soul is your heritage. Your soul is your birthright. Your soul is your family. Your soul is your blood link. Hence you must be saved by the blood. It's a family affair. Our Father who art in heaven. Not our God. Jesus didn't call him God. He said our Father. You understand? And that's what we got to get back to, is understanding that we're a part of a royal family, a royal seed. So we can cover this not just this week. It may take us about 3 or 4 weeks. Because my brother here prompted a question to me a couple days ago, and I love questions that get me going into the research. Exactly. And the whole reality behind, the original 12 tribes, really where this sermon is coming from. But I said, before I jump straight into that, let me continue from where we were last week, where we asked the question, are we worshiping a demon god as a nation? And we answered that question clearly, based on the fact that the state church in this Bahamas land is the Anglican Church. And the head of the Anglican Church wears the mitre or the headpiece of the Philistine god Dagon. Dagon. And Dagon was a half man, half fish deity that was worshipped. And it is still worshipped today, a reptilian god. A god that truly is the devil, based on the book of Revelation chapter 12. And if we start at verse 7, I need you to see this, because we can't keep powder puffing it and playing with it. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're giving our energies to. Revelation chapter 12 verse 7 says, and there was war in heaven. So all is heaven where everybody lined up to go into. You might be lined up to go into war. You understand? It happened before. The war is here now. You're already in heaven. That's the part they don't want you to know. When they went to Mars and they point back at the earth, earth was where? In the heavens. That's what they don't want you to see. And you in the war. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the what? The dragon. There's a dragon. These dragons you're dealing with, man. Humanoid, reptilian dragons. That's what they call them, cold-blooded. What cold-blooded mean? That's a reptilian. Don't believe me, just do some research in science. Understand what a cold-blooded animal is. Reptiles are cold-blooded. So when somebody kills you in cold blood, they saying a dragon kill you. That's what it's saying. When you could go around the world bombing people and killing innocent children, saying that there's weapons of mass destruction and then realize it ain't none, but then just say, oh well, just kill them anyway. Kill your own people and blame other people. When you could do that, that's cold-blooded. Huh? That's the dragon. And there it says against the angels, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Now the dragon was coming from a star constellation called Draco. Still there today, you can look it up. Verse 8, and prevailed not. They couldn't beat Michael. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. Get out. So don't give me all this forgiveness talk. Don't give me this turn the other cheek nonsense. Because going what God did. Oh, you want to be warned up in here? There was no, let's read that part again. Huh? And prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. I mean, he still can't go back. So where's the forgiveness in that? But you want me to have devils keep coming back around me. You could tell me someone could do me wrong, and then I must forgive them and let them come back. To come back with plan B? I ain't get him this time, but I can get him with plan B because he can forgive me. I don't know, that's part of their scripture. I ain't part of this scripture. You show your devilish skin around here, we send you on your way. There will be no more place found for you in this church, in this kanisa, or in our lives. That's how we operate. It says, verse 9, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. They call it a serpent. Now what's interesting is that word serpent is not there. Because by the time as you get to the book of Genesis and they start talking about a serpent, that word serpent becomes nakash. And the nakashites, that word nakash means to whisper. Also it means divination. Because that is how the devil works. That's how it's the devil, the whore, the harlot spreads of fornication. That we're about to read in Revelation chapter 19. The fornication is the perversion of the original ways, rights, customs, laws, commandments of the Most High Heavenly One. Don't limit fornication to, well, that's just sex out of marriage. So nations having sex? That's what they do in the G8 and the G7? Because they saying they fornicating. You don't know what fornication is. You don't know what your rights are. That's why they don't work for you. And now you in a day and time where the Most High Heavenly One is providing the actual answers for you. Are you ready for the truth? Can you handle the truth? You understand? That's the question we got to ask. Because our souls have to be restored. We are a group of soulless people. Our hearts have been hardened. Our hearts are cold, which means we don't have a link to the spiritual heart. And the spiritual heart connects us to the celestial realm, to the consciousness and the thoughts and the abilities of angels, of which you must become. The word angel just means messenger. To atone means to become one. To become one with what? With your higher self. And when you do that, you die to yourself. You don't physically expire. You die to yourself. You die to the ego in you. You take instructions. You understand? You're not influenced by this dragon that they talk about here. Verse 9, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil. So he just called the devil. And Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. Didn't deceive some of the world. So I don't care what religion you say you're from. All of the religions have been deceived. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Freemasonry, Shrinerism, gangsterism, government, politics. Everybody got deceived. Don't think you so special that the devil didn't touch you. Oh, well, I don't go to church because that's a bunch of pagan stuff. Yeah, but you all caught up in politics. One of the 5 P's. One of the 6 P's, actually. Because they all under the governance of pornography, which is the mystery of the harlot. They keep calling it a harlot. That's the spirit. That's the spirit that's infecting us right now. I drive past Burns' house last night. The Saxons having a big rush out, which is beautiful. Me celebrating our culture. They sounded good too, and I ain't even a Saxon. It's one family, but I said, well, the Saxons rocking tonight. They come to Bain like that. They may win with the music. But what am I mentioning that for? As I look at the people walking in, I say, oh my gosh, the way the people dress. The way the people dress. What we don't understand is when you start dressing like a thing, you're inviting it to come into your space, to come into your spirit. These are gateways. That's why people wonder, well, what's wrong with tattoos? The Bible don't just talk about piercing, it talks about strange piercings. Because we did pierce our nose. We talked about that last week. The Ishmaelites, the Egyptians. Judges chapter 8, verse 24 and 25. They wore nose rings. It's in there. They didn't wear tattoos. You understand? They didn't do a lot of the things that the Canaanites were doing. Judges 8, 24 and 25. In case you didn't get it. Right? So the whole world was deceived. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. You and your crew. And I heard voice 10, a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation. So wasn't no salvation in heaven at that time. I need y'all to hear what I'm saying now. Because heaven, where everybody lining up to go to, didn't have salvation while there was this war in heaven. This word is Orion. You understand? Now has come salvation and strength. So heaven was weak. Heaven was weak. And the kingdom of our God. And so there wasn't God's kingdom at that time. Heaven wasn't ruled by God, my Lord. In heaven. That's the earth we living on now. That's why thy kingdom come to earth. This goes around throughout the galaxy. Don't think you special. Don't think you special. This ain't only happening on earth. Only an egotistical mind could think something like that. Only people who think that the sun go around the earth could think like that. Who think the earth is flat could think like that. And these are the same people who are ruling you. These are the same people ain't unchanged. This is the same book, same playbook. You imagine the Dallas Cowboys was using the playbook from the 1970s and 2013. No, but Tom Landry said, Tom Landry is dead. But when we used to give the ball to Emmett is retired. But for those who watch football, you know what I'm saying? You can't use the same playbook. What do I mean by that? Truth is a part of change. The original books of the Bible are updated for each generation. Not that the truth is changing. The truth is a part of the change. It's not that the scriptures get old and we shouldn't use it anymore. The fundamentals of the game don't change. It's how you utilize them. Because the devil don't stay the same. You understand? That's why we say slavery didn't end. It just grew up. It got more sophisticated. Don't stop hitting them with whips, man. Make them buy whips. No cars, we call whips. Don't make them wear chains, make them buy chains. Everybody got on chains. You understand? Make them enslave themselves. And we could say, everybody's free. You understand? It goes on to say, and the power of his Christ. So let's go back to the top of verse 10 so we're not confused. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ, the Koras consciousness. For the accuser of our brethren, because that's what the devil does. is cast down, which accuse them before our God day and night. They're always accusing the children of the Most High. They accuse you of not being human. They accuse you of spreading crime. They have a book called Freakonomics. Freakonomics say if you had more abortions, you'd have less crime. Because the black people causing all the crime. That's the devil. You define crime. You wrote the law on crime after you beat up everybody. You understand? It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. So that when it says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, their souls were restored. Because what is the soul? In the Holy Qubtic Church, we recognize that the soul force is the DNA in your blood. And all of us have the blood of the Lamb, or Ram, because the mascot of the Most High, or a portion of the Most High Heavenly One, Ane Ray, which was Ray, a manifested portion called Ray, had a mascot of a ram. The Greco-Romans took it and made it the Baphomet, the goat of Mendes. As they do with everything, they corrupted it. And then they call it a lamb, because they don't want us to be a ram. The horns of that ram is the DNA. Inspired the DNA. You understand? And so, when it says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, it means that a part of them was awoken to understand who they were. And when you understand who you are, you reconnect to the powers that sustain you. It's like the lion that grew up with the sheep. Come here, look different. When they talk, you ought to say it too loud, and they make that a crime. Lions are just, they wouldn't call you lions. The brown sheep are talking too loud. And so people start getting surgeries to fix their vocal cords because it's too loud, and they start bleaching their fur. Because their fur's supposed to be white or black, whatever color the lambs are. And they keep, huh? Yeah, you gotta make some perm in the hair too, they gotta get it woolly. That's what we doing. That's what we doing. You understand? And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. It means they picked up their cross. It means they were sacrificing every day to be like the Messiah. And when you sacrifice, as me and the brother was talking about this morning, when you decide you want your life back, you want to sacrifice some things. And Harriet Tubman was grabbing slaves from plantations and carrying them north. You think they wasn't leaving their families? You think they just move, alright, everybody grab your stuff? No. They may have send you out there to go pick something up, and when you get to the fence, they waiting, they're like, you coming? But I gotta go back and get, you coming? It's either now or never, because we got the road. That's a sacrifice. You understand? And like she said, she could have saved more if they knew they were slaves. And that's the problem we got today. Everybody got it all figured out. Their soul is already restored according to them. So they don't even know what soul is. They think soul just means you can dance. You dress flashy. You talk different. Yeah, that's a byproduct of soul. When you're giving it away to everybody else, that's why they can catch up with you. It goes on to say, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So this devil that deceived the whole world, like we talked about last week, has us worshiping him and her and them. in all races, all creeds, all weights, all heights. You understand? And that's why our prayers aren't being answered. That's why the murder rate hitting triple digits again. Because you praying to a God that needs blood to survive. It's a reptilian that loves the sweet savor of the sacrifice. Y'all just barbecuing. I'm just telling you, I need you to kill those rams and barbecue it. I'll forgive you. We don't see it that way. You understand? And so now we ask the question, what does it mean to have your soul restored? So, one of the things I want to point out, let's go to Genesis chapter 12. First and foremost, you are the royal tribes of Ishmael, Yil, not El, Yil, Israel, and Midian. The word Yil, I-Y-L, speaks to your celestial origins from Yilion. Everybody say Yilion. Yilion. Place on high. Okay, spoken of in the book of Job, chapter 16, verse 19. My records are on high. Alright? These are actual star constellations. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. Well, but last I checked, mansion bigger than us. So all mansions can fit in us, unless the house is a star constellation. That's what he was talking about. So in Genesis chapter 12, and then we can also look at let's just go to Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into a land that I will show thee. Sacrifice now. You gotta move. You gotta get out of here. Revelation chapter 18 is telling the children of the Most High, come out of her, so that you don't be partakers of her iniquities and her plagues. This is what Abraham was being taught. Verse 2, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curses thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So, all religions, the three major religions, go back to Abraham by way of Ishmael, by way of Isaac and Jacob, who becomes Israel, and by way of Midian. Alright, that's the first thing. Now, what has happened, unfortunately, is that as a people now, we have been duped by way of the Canaanites, the Greco-Romans, those who got a hold of our original scriptures. And they placed themselves in these scriptures by way of promoting themselves as the chosen ones, or the chosen people. Hence, you only hear about Israel. You don't hear about Ishmael. You don't hear about Midian. They talk about Israel. That was a strategic plan to make sure that you see them as the chosen and see yourselves as Gentiles. What I want to show you is they made the switch even right here in your Bible. Let's go to Genesis chapter, I want to say 22. Because as I was preparing for this sermon, I saw something Made me go. Let's see. There's a couple of places. Go to Genesis 22 and 17. Says that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. So is this going to be a little bit of people or a lot of people? A lot of people. So bigger than one country. Bigger than one place called the Middle East. Just want y'all to see what they doing now. Because Abraham's seed, you can't count the stars. You can't count the sun. So you got to find a people who are everywhere on the planet, like the sun is on the planet, like the stars are in the sky, to know who these people are, right? Now, the part that made me frown a bit is when you look at the word, go back to Genesis 12, verse 2 again. And I will make thee a great nation. That word nation there in the Hebrew is the word goy or goy. And it means a foreign nation, a Gentile nation. So let's read it like they have it there in Hebrew. Right? I will make of thee a great Gentile nation. And I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Now, was Yahshua here for the Gentiles? Yahshua tell his disciples to go and preach to the Gentiles? This is before Yahshua's time, right? And so Yahshua was continuing what Abraham was doing, right? And so, here it is, those who put this book together, this version of the Bible, slipped into the Hebrew that out of Abraham was coming a Gentile nation. Because they know they were the Gentiles. Just like how Yahshua knew, and let's go to Revelation chapter 2:9 and 3:9. I want people to think, oh, the Qubtic church, they don't like the Jews. They don't like the Canaanites. Yeah, we just telling you what the scriptures are. Revelation 2:9. You got it? Say, got it.
I got it.
I know thy what? Works and what? And tribulation and what? What happened, brackets? But thou art rich. Stop lying. You are there having everybody feel sorry for you, talking about your Holocaust. Yes, they should feel sorry for their Holocaust, but let everybody else feel sorry for theirs too. Don't make yours more important. Don't demonize Hitler, but then don't demonize the President of the United States, who had slaves when they was writing the Declaration of Independence. Huh? King Leopold in the Congo. He talking about 6 million in Germany. He killed 10 million in the Congo. But we don't demonize him. We don't even know who he is. But we know who Hitler is. You can't even say Hitler with a straight face. They'll think you Hitler. Huh? You around here got people feeling sorry for you more than other people? That's what he was saying. It says, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. But who are these people, man? How come we keep skipping over this verse? There's somebody here acting like a Jew who wasn't a Jew. Matter of fact, the word Jew ain't even in here. That's why they call it Jewish. Kinda a little bit, man. We have the clothes and we have the book, but you don't have the blood. That's why you Jewish. Revelation 3 verse 9. 3 verse 9. Because Jesus wasn't playing with them. You understand? Yahshua wasn't playing. So I don't know why they expect us to play. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. It's already happening. It's already happening. They already want to know who the real priests were. Go do the research on the Lemba, some of the other tribes. They genetically prove was a Kohen, the real tribe of Levi. You understand? There was no tribe of Levi, ain't no real tribe. That's them and their lies and their Levitical priests, the Levites. That was an area around the Mediterranean where they lived. The Levi was Lawi or Malawi, which was a city in Africa, right across from Armana, which is where Ankanatun and Tunankamun and Nefertiti and Tai and all of them lived. Atonism. They were the solar biological priests. They were the Kohen. They were the ones who made sure that the rights, the commandments, and the laws were adhered to. That's who we are. You understand? This is why your soul has to be restored. Because if you don't understand these things, you don't have a soul. You don't have a soul. And it is possible to be alive without a soul. Because the 23rd Psalm said, he restored my soul. When he was saying that, he was alive. You understand? So, yes, for far too long, we've been duped. We've had our identity stolen. And they was doing this from, they came on the scene. That's why when they talk about Egypt, we smile. We say, we're not Egypt. Because the Greco-Romans came in and they just took on the identity of what they met there and they perverted it. So all the negativity that you hear about Egypt, that wasn't us. That's what Isaiah chapter 19 is talking about. It's talking about places in Egypt that spoke the language of the Canaanites. We're going to touch on that in a second. So, Genesis 12 then, the nation that Abraham, they saying is coming out of Abraham, when you really check it, they trying to say it's a Gentile nation, which is nonsense. You understand? The Gentiles are the ones who didn't live up to the rights, the commandments, and the laws. I was listening to my good friend who don't know I exist, Fred Price Jr. I love watching him. But at the same time, it's scary how dangerous their belief system is, because they combining what Paul's saying with what the Messiah is saying, with what God's saying, and they confusing and losing a lot of people. Because they have been there preaching, we are not under the law. Really? That what Jesus said? You up in Romans reading about we not in the law? But Jesus wasn't around and Paul was writing this stuff? That's what we combating. That's what we up against. A lot of the things you do, you don't even know why you're doing it. It's because the Catholic Church put things in place and they did not spread Christianity in the Christian way. The hand of God was a sword. The hand of God was syphilis. The hand of God was the flu. The hand of God was what killed you and killed the priests and destroyed the books so that they could establish themselves on top of you and then turn around and tell you to be holy. That's why we more Christian than they'll ever be. They don't believe in this stuff. They never will. They've started to believe in it after they amassed enough resources to put on a mosque. You know, Vatican cities are expensive to build. Cathedrals are expensive to build. God didn't build them. What built them? Wars, bloodshed, slaves, blood, sweat, and tears. Those lions that Queen Victoria is sitting on in Rawson Square. Us. You understand? So, let's go now to the original books of the Bible. Page 214. Because restoring your soul is a matter of activating your DNA, activating your blood. Your blood has to be reactivated. All the things we are beginning to ask you to do is not just ritualistic. The people who are ritualistic are those who don't understand what the rites mean. The reason why we say wear white, the reason why we say make sila, the reason why we say light your Sabbath candles, etc., is to build discipline in you. You can hand your child or any person a gun before you show them how to be safe with it. You say you want connection to the Most High Heavenly One that's within you, the most powerful presence in existence. You want a connection to that. You want that to move through you, but you don't want the discipline to know how to use it. But you wouldn't just put a gun in somebody's hand, and that ain't nowhere as powerful as the Most High Heavenly One. You understand? We're giving you back a connection, not we as the church. The Most High Heavenly One is giving you access to it that's in you. The light shineth in the darkness, but the darkness comprehended it not. You don't know the light in you. You don't know how to access it. You don't know how to utilize it. Verse 28 on page 214. This is coming from book 12, the book of the Tamarian Adama. And it reads, "Cursed be the Greco-Romanized monotheistic beliefs of the Canaanite, for by such this knowledge is kept from humanity. They are keeping you away from your religious rights, identity, and otherwise in order to rule you. This is such because they know full aware that by the activation of humanity's DNA, RNA, and chromosomes, the RNA now is the spiritual you, personality. RNA is what expresses the DNA. You can go on YouTube now, they'll show you. You understand? The chromosomes represent what is referred to as the etheric realm. So when we talk about ether and soul, we're talking about inside of you, we're talking about in your blood. It says you have to have activation of humanity's DNA, RNA, and chromosomes. You will further develop your higher senses, which allows for humanity to feel connected through atonism to the Most High Heavenly One, An-Neri, wherein the mental abilities of members of humanity in varying degrees of genetic potency expands in your quest for higher awareness and knowledge, which is only gained by allowing your ego to step aside, thereby connecting yourselves with higher states of angelic consciousness and thoughts that will allow all amongst you who do such to feel unconditional love, peace, and reconnection to the Most High Heavenly One, An-Neri. Thus your soul is restored. What does it mean by your higher senses? Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Because Paul and them was digging through our stuff. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Now when Paul is talking here, he's talking about Zeus worship. You understand? So I just want to be clear. We ain't endorsing Paul, but what he was telling his people was true according to them. Because they were the Greco-Romans. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 34. Says what? Awake to righteousness. Wake up, you gotta wake up to your way of life. Alright? And that word righteousness in the Hebrew is the word Zodok. Zodok. And the word Zodok is zodiac. And the word zodiac is saying that those who were considered righteous had a link to the heavens. And that's why today, people who act the way they're supposed to act, you call them decent people. Decent people. People who descended. Decent people. You understand? That's what it means. Awake to righteousness and sin not. For some have not the knowledge of God. I speak this to your shame. That's us right now. Now he was talking to his people. You understand what I'm saying? He's talking to people in Asia Minor. And he was preaching another gospel. You understand? But the principle of what he's saying here applies to us as we don't understand the knowledge of God. There is a knowledge behind God. You can't just believe. You didn't believe your way through high school. Or primary or preschool. You didn't believe your way through college. You don't believe your way through your job every day. There's a knowledge behind everything, including God. So why when you get to God, well, just believe. When you start asking people specific questions, I was talking to a friend last night, and we was having a discussion. I said, oh, you want to go there? Okay, fine. Tell me what this means. Oh, why are you getting so technical now? Oh, now I'm technical. You can't answer the question, so I'm technical. I mean, we was having fun with it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't beaten up, but the point of the matter is that we have to have a knowledge of God. In order to have a knowledge of a thing, you have to know what it is. You don't even know what God is. You don't even know what God is. Understand? So, those higher senses then are kept away from you. You're kept away from those higher senses by not actually having a knowledge of what it is and who you are. Right? So, it says, you further develop your higher senses, which allows for humanity to feel connected through atonism to the Most High. Verse 29 now says, go forth and declare unto the heirs of those born forth out of Tamaray. During that generation, the Adama group, so we're talking about the first, not the very first, but a group of Adamites. Alright, this chapter explains all of it. I won't go into all of it, but it says, during that generation, the Adama group of Homo sapien, known as Atum, A-T-U-M, was headed by their leader by the same name, Atum, called such as he and those of his generation represented humanity's innate ability to survive and endure countless planetary calamities from which you are continually reborn as a symbol of eternal life. They be like roaches. We survive volcanoes, winter, what do you call it? Ice age, hurricanes, all these things. We continue to survive as a people. Alright? So these Atomites have just finished surviving another cataclysmic period, which is what we're in right now. We're in it right now. We got meteorites almost missing the sun and almost missing the earth, and earthquakes and hurricanes, and all these is happening right now. I don't think because it ain't happened to you. People ask when is the planetary shift gonna happen? Because it ain't shift under your foot yet. Don't think it ain't happening. Go ask some people. They can tell you how their house fall off the cliff, or sink in the ground. Mine was in his bed. Mine was in his bed, and the floor swallowed him. My Lord. Another island pop out of the sea. See that? And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. That's what it's talking about. Right? Verse 30. In those days, there was no appointed ruler assigned over humanity. This particular animal group was the first to come forth out of the water onto dry land after the hundreds of millions of years from the preceding generations of the four main groups of sea sons known as the Reshunat. So when the Jews talk about Rosh Hashanah, which we celebrated Rosh Hashanah. They have Rosh Hashanah, their New Year. Is reason why they refer to their New Year as Rosh Hashanah, because the head group of your bloodline were called the Rashunat, the sacred eight that lived in the waters. Not that they were all just fishermen around with gills. It was domes. They lived in, because it was a water planet. Remember, God had to separate the heavens from the earth, or the waters from the land. This was water. The whole planet was water. Call it the Nun. The Nun. Right? The sacred eight had occurred on tar earth. Simply, they began to populate the land masses which came from beneath the water. So as the land masses came up, and they moved on to land. This was the group that moved on into land. So this scripture which we reveal unto you was a blessing. So adhere to it and advocate its message. As this animal group of Homo sapien called Atum was birthed forth out of the waters unto dry land, they did populate the new land masses which appeared where no land masses were before. This caused them to be logged into our angelic records as being the microcosmic 10th point of recreation. Thus, they also represented a renewal of the genetics of humanity, in that once events arrived at the first through 9th microcosmic points of creation, which are represented by the guardian angelic hosts Atumre, Nun, Nunet, He, Hihet, Kek, Kiket, Amun, and Amunet, humanity started over as a new cycle began of new beings or Nubian Melaninites. Go into your church booklet. Go right to the back. So those 99 plus 1 names. So I need you to see something. It says, microcosmically, these atomites were the 10th point. Right? So when you look at these names, first is what? Ya Atumre. The second is Ya Nun. The third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth, and the 10th one. So this is what it means when it says they were the 10th point. As you're saying these names, you literally, this is your story. Once you understand the story, then you'll understand why the names are where they are and why they're there. You understand? So they were the Nubian Melaninites, the new beings, those who are now on land where there was no land before. Alright? I'm explaining this to you because why? Your soul has to be restored. You have to understand who and what you are, what you came from. This is why we all come out of the water to this day. People say, that's crazy. What you mean they was the first to come out of the waters and come on into land? You came out of the water onto land too. It's called the water broke. That's what it is. You may not want to accept that. You may not want to accept that you look like a tadpole before you look like a human. You may not want to accept that. But it's true. The 3 trimesters that you go through is telling your story. You look like a reptile. Then you look like a little monster. Then you look like a gray, like a little alien. Why you look like a little alien in the 2nd trimester? Why you look like a gray? Because they're in your blood, that's why. That's what a scientist would say. Now a religious person would run away from that. Oh, no, that can't be true. Okay, well keep fooling yourself then. Put a Band-Aid on and go in the water. And then take it off. What color your skin could be? Gray. Inside your genetics. Then after that, in the third trimester, you start getting hair all over your body. Shaggy, Bigfoot. That's inside your blood. When you born even, skin still peeling off. Then some people, some tribes even shape the baby's heads. Then you start looking like Elohim. Because those were the races that came together to form you. You are a reptile. The oldest part of your brain is called the reptilian complex. Now that's scary because we just read about another reptile called the devil. So you may be thinking, am I the devil? Some people are the devil, yes. But all reptilians are not the devil. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying. We're saying in your makeup you are a composite being. And you have to learn your nature to restore your soul. You understand? Because if you don't, you have some things working against you and you ain't going to know how to deal with it. You will want to live a righteous or a way to righteousness, but you won't be able to. You will have what's called vices. Stuff you don't want people to know about. You understand? Whereas if you learn who you are and be that, what the Holy Qubtic Church is here to show you is how to be yourself. It's how to understand what it is. Why do I feel this way? Not in public. We ain't that type of church. I even confess my sins in public. You're an idiot. I ain't here to be judged by men. You understand? So I ain't coming to tell you my business and I don't want to know yours. We get close enough and we share stuff, that's different. But ain't nobody stand. Don't come in here telling me everything you did wrong. I might not like you no more. You did that? For real? Twice? I don't know. Now you sit down. Let someone else do the. I ain't God. I ain't as good as God. God will be like, oh, okay, you go ahead. I'm like, you did what? For real? More than once? Oh man. Some days you take to your grave. Some days you take to your grave. Right? So there's a whole story that you're not being taught, because to teach it means that it's going to unravel the myth, the lie that's been placed over you. And so as long as you don't understand exactly what's going on, then they can continue to lie to you. Got a couple more verses over here. We'll be going up to verse 36. Verse 32 says, the wisdom of all matters belong to Ane. Verse 32, page 215. Hence the replenishment of the original humanoid gene. Oh my goodness. The replenishment of the original humanoid gene, which was transplanted into the waters of Tar Earth by the guardian angelic host Atum-Re, priest after the order of Malek Zodok or Tahuti, without direct interference. Simply put, the atomic energies on Tar Earth became cellular or Adamic energy once again, allowing for a successful replenishment and recreation. We continue before I explain what that means. Verse 33. O humanity, it is time that you gather yourselves in groups. This symbolic energy reproduced itself on a cellular level, through which an Adamic group of Homo sapiens called Atum was reborn and renewed, simply replenished. So what's happening is, you're part of an earth that sustains itself and continuously recycles. You see it every year. It's called a year. There's no group of people who decide, okay, well, we're going to have summer come a little earlier because winter just too cold. We're going to need to start summer like in March this year. Because that's what we do. We mess it up. We'll exploit it. Can't make no money in the winter, man. We got lengthen summer. That's what we do at the time. Fall back, spring forward. Right? But what this is saying simply is, just like everything else, the genealogy of the Most High has to be renewed and replenished on the planet. So you in a day and time whereby, and the best way I could describe it is, when you make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, what happens? It fades. And that's what happens with our genealogy. So all the morals, the attributes, the rights, the laws, things that were inherent to us, we began to lose. That's why the older people say, what happened to manners? You understand? Because it's been bred out. Now it has to be bred back in. How is it going to be bred back in? Some beings that have those genes have to come and breed them back in. That's what's happening right now. It started happening from the 17th, when the sun cycle began. You understand? And so this whole idea of the replenishment of the original humanoid gene is what's happening. Now once the gene has been replenished, then the Kanisa has to be formed to see which genes have been activated. So the way the Nitaru work, or Nataru Elohim works, they're not going to make you do this. You understand? They're going to set up sacred sites, and those whose genes have been activated or their souls have been restored will come to order. They will begin to assemble in groups, and they will begin to do things like they once were done to get the results that we once had. You understand? And that's what's going on right now. Verse 34. You have waited patiently on this great day of resurrection. As such, you shall learn that even though this Adama group of Homo sapien, known as Atum, were all of the same bloodline, there were amongst them both balanced and unbalanced people. You don't see good and bad. Balanced and unbalanced. As they were composed of a 360-degree nature, which led to conflicts occurring amongst them. Thus, in order to resolve conflicts amongst yourselves in your latter day, you must heed these words. Thus, let our voice make clear to you of how at first those of the Atum tribe did live in harmony, settling their conflicts through the use of their mental faculties, that's reason. Yet through time and age there came a point whereby their seed came to live amongst mortal tribes of humanoid mammalians, which brought about separation that led to their genetics becoming weakened. Therefore, O you who seek true faith, remember always that the celestial heavens and tar earth belongs to Ane Re, who informs humanity that this weakness led to the birth on tar earth of countless events of brothers, who through being of the chosen families of original 3 groups of 12 tribes of the tar earth, constantly engaged in conflicts. Cain and Abel, Saru, Satuk, Esau, Jacob. There's always these conflicts. That was symbolic of the tribes, those of the same blood, conflicting because in certain aspects of the tribe, the seed was being weakened because of the mixing, whether coming together and having children or just being influenced. That's what we're suffering from in this country today. A lot of foreign influence. You understand? And so now we move into one of our publications. It's called The Original 12 Tribes of the Scriptures, on page 157. So next week we're going to move more so into who these tribes are and how those tribes link us into the stars. So the question is, so with all that we have read in this parchment, what happened to the original 12 tribes? Let's ask it another way. With all that we've heard today, and understanding that we are the children of the Most High Heavenly One, Genesis chapter 2 verse 4 says, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth. Right? And these generations of the heavens that came to earth and became 3 groups of royal tribes that came out of another group of 14 tribes that came from the stars. You understand? 14 tribes came from a place called Orion. Alright? Now that sounds crazy until you read your Bible properly. And you realize that the word heaven is really the word Orion. Heaven has already been brought to earth, just so you know. You're just doing it again. So those pyramids in Giza, at one point, lined up with the belt of the Orion star constellation. Thus, heaven was brought to earth. They mirrored what was in the heavens. You understand? So that was a sacred site. We now have to do it again. And those that did it were dispersed. Those tribes, so they'll tell you, they don't know what happened to the original Egyptians. They just disappeared. They didn't disappear, you just start calling them nigger. That's what happened to them. You could look on the wall and see our faces. You go, you spend thousands of dollars, you go there, you take pictures, touch the wall, ooh, yeah, ooh, how they do that. And get back on a plane, come back to the Caribbean or back to America, look at somebody who looked just like the person on the wall and say, nigga. We don't know where they went. Really? Really? You don't know where they went? Let me see the picture you took. Let me see the ones you took. Let me see the ones you took. Not the ones we can Google. You went over there.
That's great.
Nassau and Craig, who are you looking for now? You're looking for a boy now, his alias is Nassau. It says, under the guidance and protection of the all-seeing eye, which we find in Psalm 33 and 18, of the Most High Heavenly One, An-Nere, these 12 original tribes and families of royal Tamarian blood built many great cities, such as On, or Heliopolis, that is called the City of God, in Psalms 142 and 7, where there were houses, medical centers, observatories, businesses, and of course many universities, where many were mentally nourished, as well as many kanisa, or churches, where many were spiritually nourished. We had these things already. We had hospitals, we had churches, we had universities, we had all the things that now the people who tell you to believe, this is the part you got to pay attention to now. Okay, people tell you that I'm Catholic. I ain't all that science. Right? Okay, beautiful. Does the Catholic Church have hospitals?
Yeah.
Do the hospitals function off belief?
No.
What do they function off? Science. Do the Baptist churches have hospitals? Do the Shriners have hospitals? Yes, they do. So we're the only idiots that's staying only in the church. But they'll show you movies where the Catholic priests in their garbs in the lab, in the observatory. Like, they telling you what they're doing. That was really who we were, the scientists. You understand? Yet in time, the seed of these 12 original tribes, which did come out of the royal bloodline of the 12 royal ruling families, called the 12th dynasty by many, due to their willingness to fight back the infiltration of Tamarian infrastructure, military and religious invasion of the Holy Land of Tamari, which included all the present-day Israel, Palestine, Yemen, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia by the Pale Arab Emirates, Alexandrian Greeks, and Constantinian Romans, Anglican, British, and many other families of Canaanites had to flee. So these 12 original tribes that came out of the 12 royal families is called the 12th dynasty today. So if you start looking for them, you'll find remnants of them in what's called the 12th dynasty today. Don't go look for the 12th dynasty and then pick up this book and say, it don't match. Of course it don't match. If I don't want you to find your way home, I'm going to give you the map. Or leave it intact. I can draw a new map and make sure when you start following it, you get even more lost. Right? And the land that we're talking about wasn't just this little corner in Northeast Africa. We're talking about all what they call the Middle East. They said they just found a mummy in Libya. Oh, oh, this is the oldest, this is older than the Egyptian mummies. Right, because you're trying to make a thing. All that was in Egypt. All that was in one line, Tamaray. They had to flee, talking about the 12 original tribes, in order to keep from becoming further contaminated by the influences of these invaders who only sought the wealth which was and is beneath the soil of the seas of the Tamarayan continent in the form of countless resources such as gold, oil, silver, diamonds, emeralds, sapphires, rubies, platinum, uranium, rubber, and even people. So all of the peoples who came out of Tamaray or ancient Africa are of the same seed. And you got people running around here saying they ain't African because they won't be Israelites. But Isaiah chapter 19 makes it very clear. The Egyptians, the Israelites, and the Assyrians are one. Nubian Melanites were the original inhabitants of every continent on earth. Don't let them tell you it's only Africa. Ranoko Rashidi, I keep pointing his name out to you. Ranoko Rashidi. He all over the planet taking pictures, and he posting them up on Facebook. And he's showing you every continent you find black people originally there. Thus, these 12 original tribes also had to flee as they kept the secrets as to the purpose and construction of the massive structures called Mir, or initiation universities, that many members of humanity now know as pyramids. That's why they didn't find nobody in the coffin. They said, well, maybe they stole the body. No, it wasn't that the body was stolen. It was that you were placed in the coffin and symbolically you died. And then, by the grip of the lion's paw, you were brought back to life in an initiation of the Assyrian or Ossetian society, a society that will soon be resurrected here in the Bahamas. That's where they walk around the pyramid looking for dead people. This is where they buried the dead. No. This is where we came to die to self. Be reborn again. That's what it means to be born again. Eventually, these original 3 groups of 12 tribes who had worked to reintroduce and resurrect the original teachings of the Most High Heavenly Father An-Ray and his guardian angelic hosts back into the hearts and minds of humanity. That's what we're doing now. Bringing people back to self. Restoring their soul. This was necessary especially for those Nubian Melanonites families. So we just talked about the Atomites who came from the waters onto the earth, the 10th point, and became the Nubians or Nubian Melanonites. That's you. That's us. Alright? This was necessary especially for those Nubian Melanonite families that had become caught up in the Greco-Romanized religions of that day, which were purposely called the religious cults of Amun. A-M-M-O-N. Understand? Or Thoth. Or Bast. So they were using words like Amun and Thoth and Bast and Tahuti, but they were still teaching Greco-Roman principles. Just like today, they're calling the churches now. You understand? Catholics, Anglicans, Baptists, but they're teaching Greco-Roman principles in order to gain followers from amongst the people. Because they have to make it look like it's yours. That's why it's so hard to put down the Bible, because there's truth in the Bible. That's why we don't say put down the Bible. We say pick it up and really read it. Just because I don't like the bone in the fish don't mean we should throw away the fish. Just take the bones out. You only want the meat. You understand? In order to gain followers from amongst the people. When in fact they were really just Greco-Roman teachings which used the facade of Tamaray or ancient Africa, much like in this latter day, where much of so-called monotheism has most members of humanity still worshiping, unbeknown to most, the Greco-Roman and Indo-Arab gods under the guise of the many denominations of monotheism, who all claim to have the truth. Everybody claims to have the truth. If you don't come to my church, you're going to hell. Really? My Lord, you didn't even tell the truth could just fit in one little building and one little book? Come on. One little head? Come on, man. Really? What make you bad exactly? Come on, man. It's called the golden thread. The golden thread is that thread that moves through all religions, all people. Truth is everywhere. That's why we don't argue with anybody. Exactly. We don't argue with anybody. You can come here and believe whatever you want to believe. We just gonna find the origin of it. You say, but here's how we accept what you believe. You understand? That's what we do. That's all we do. We say, yes, there's truth in everything. Mine on the radio today when I was driving up, a lady called in, he was talking about religion and saying how the world isn't falling off because of economics. He's saying the world is falling off because of morality. We've been losing our morality. He said, I'm a Catholic. Right? I said, that's interesting. So a lady called up. She said, well, I went to Catholic school. My husband went to Catholic school. My children went to Catholic school. And when I started to study, I realized that the Catholic Church is based on a bunch of pagan rituals. He said, well, I don't want to touch that. Right? But let me tell you why he said it. And I smiled when he said, look. He said, I disagree with you, He's like, look, I was on alcohol and drugs. When I went to the Catholic Mass, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the message. I'm a Catholic, and I offer alcohol and drugs. Now, what you do? You can tell him stop being a Catholic? No, sir. You got your beads. You got what you need. So we don't need you on alcohol and drugs. If that's what's keeping you on alcohol and drugs, go to church. You ain't small enough, they ain't gonna rape you. You big enough. Yeah, he ain't a little boy no more. Go ahead. Notice the adults, they'd be the one bragging about Catholicism. I see little boys. I think they like it. But I'm only saying that to say, we are not in this, we don't come here to bash other people. We don't come here to say we are all right and everybody's all wrong. That's not what we're about. Understand? We recognize we are true Christians. We are Christians. So if you say you're not supposed to live, we don't live under the law. Beautiful. But we do. If you choose not to, fine. You understand what I'm saying? It's like going to a farm. If we don't use fertilizer, that's fine. It's cool. But if our corn bigger than your corn, then you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, you like small corn, you like small corn. You like small watermelon. I ain't arguing with you. We don't use fertilizer. Okay, cool. You know, we ain't arguing with you. We know what we getting from the fruit that we getting from our labor. It says as these original 12 tribes worked to spread the teachings of the original Qubtic church, they were met with much opposition and rage from amongst those who upheld the monotheistic religious teachings promoted by the ruling Hyksos establishment. The Hyksos is another form of the Canaanites that are spoken of in the book of Exodus that came into Egypt, and they say that the king of Egypt no longer knew Joseph. He didn't know. Go right to the beginning of Exodus, just so we clear. That is chapter 1, verse 8. Exodus chapter 1, verse 8. Got it? Now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Now first of all, we didn't have kings in Egypt. We had pharaohs. Aferti. The word aferti, the root word of which is afar. The word afar becomes dust. So the aferti were the medium between heaven and earth. Between the generations of the heavens and the generations of the earth. Just like Yahshua was. Isn't that what they say? His mother was human, but his father was celestial. He had a blended personality. Right? That's what an authority was. Let's say, yeah, but Jesus wasn't a pharaoh. Or maybe he was. Tutankhamun. That's what we've been trying to tell you. You understand? Alright? So these Hyksos then is still who is running the religious communities today. Zeus, Zeus, Zeus worship. Alright? But it wasn't only Zeus worship. As we read further, it says, the monotheistic religious teachings promoted by the ruling Hyksos establishment, who are now ruling certain parts of Tamaray, and those Nubian Melanites who had become totally entranced by the spellbinding teachings of Greco-Roman and Indo-Arab mythology. That's who we are. We totally entranced. Even if it don't make sense, we just do it. The remnant of the original 12 tribes of the royal blood that came out of the 13 great Tamarayan or ancient African rulers, 12 sons plus one daughter, all of whom upkept the importance of proper circumcision, the symbolic missing 14th piece of the sacrificial shepherd Asaru, as it is this sacred rite served as confirmation that they were truly the lost tribes of Ishmaelites, Israelites, and Midianites. That's why the doctors they'll argue to death. Scientifically, could you live and not be circumcised? Yes, you could. However, when you go into the original scriptures, the reason why we were circumcised was to identify who we were and to make sure that we procreated. And notice it says proper circumcision. We didn't move the entire foreskin. There's a specific way we circumcise. The way we circumcised was so that the foreskin can be moved back easier. There was a portion that was cut off on the foreskin, but until the entire foreskin wasn't moved. You understand? That's what we have to bring back. You understand? And so these rites then, and I'll end in this last two paragraphs. Eventually, the original 12 tribes came to be led by the high priest, sea and prophet Baba Ankh Anaton, after whose death they had to scatter. They broke up the city of Ramana. It's rubble. They took what they broke up, they didn't just break it down, and they took what they broke up and built another city with it. They didn't realize another city had been built with it till an earthquake came, one of the columns broke, and they realized it was glyphs on the inside of the wall too, and it was like, who's Tutankhamun? Who's Ankh? That's what happened. That is what happened. That's how Akhenaton's name came back out there. That's how Hatshepsut or Hatshepsut, that's how their names. Tutankhamun, they were trying to hide those names from us. Because those were the original families. That was the real Jesus of 2,000 years ago. Tutankhamun. Then they say all eyes shall behold. Don't they take Tutankhamun all over the world? You Google Jesus, a million pictures show up. You Google Tutankhamun, one picture shows up. You tell me which one is real. Eventually, the original 12 tribes came to be led by the high priest, seer, and prophet Baba Akhenaton, after whose death they had to scatter from the principal seat of his rule at Armana, the city of peace, Jerusalem, one of the cities of peace on high, all across Tamaray to avoid annihilation. They scattered everywhere. So my people went to Nigeria. Alright? We're Yoruba. On my father's side, we're Yoruba. Alright? And the Yoruba will tell you they came from Northeast Africa. Anywhere from Northeast Africa all the way down to Sudan. That's my people. Why are you wearing a nose ring? Because I'm connecting to my people. You understand? That's the reality. You have the same story. You just got to find it. I was blessed enough that he kept telling the story until it was written down, so we got the story. Everybody ain't that blessed. Eventually, many were kidnapped, enslaved, raped, castrated, and faced every type of abuse imaginable in various lands, all in an attempt to wipe us out. Yet we have survived and will continue to be awoken, survive, grow, succeed at every endeavor, and become stronger until we once again are recognized as being the true seed of the Nubian Melanonites, through whom all other members of humanity can gain salvation and reach the state of being granted atonement. They got to get salvation through you, because you are the gates of heaven. That's what Revelation chapter 21, Revelation chapter 7, all of them talk about the tribes. And Revelation 21, they talk about the gates. 12 gates, 3 on each side, 4 sides. Each one named after a tribe. Psalm 24 says, wake up or arise, O ye gates. Then will the Most High come in. It got to come through you. Don't wait for nobody to save you. You to save you. Not me, us. You understand? That's what we doing. This is real. If we don't get this, I might as well let you know, the devil will get an extension. Remember, the devil knew he had but a short time. That short time was 6,000 years. 6,000 years is up. We supposed to be sitting on the throne right now. Is it going to happen overnight? No, it's not going to happen overnight. But let's get what we can get. Let's take back what we can take back, piece by piece. It ain't going to happen overnight. Started with us being outside. We got this building. We got another building. It's going to grow and continue to grow. You understand? And that is how your soul is restored. How will you know your soul is restored? Because you'll control your destiny again. You won't have to go and ask people to do stuff that God gave you the right to do. You understand? You could look at them like, excuse you? I need to do what? To practice my way of life, I got to get a permission slip from you? The devil? Get on my face. That's what we saying now. In our own way, we say with a smile. What's that mean? Bow to the divinity, even if you're a devil. And so, what does it mean to have your soul restored? It means to be reconnected to your true way of life, to your true scriptures, to your true rights. Don't just read about it. Respect them. Respect them. Hold them on high. Understand? You can look crazy for a little while. You can look crazy. I ain't saying no lie. Crazy as a woman who's pregnant who won't eat chalk. Woman said she wanted conch salad and bananas. That look crazy. What was the body telling her? I need some potassium. I need some, you know what I mean? Some salt, this, whatever. Cholesterol, maybe. You know what I mean? Right? But the body don't care if it look crazy. Like, put the banana with the conch salad. Let's go. I gotta build this baby. I gotta build this baby. And that's how it's gonna be with you. You're gonna be doing things, and people gonna be like, "What the hell are they doing?" Yeah. Michael Jackson was wearing one glove for a little while. Then all of a sudden it became a fire. Then everybody want to wear one glove. You can only buy one glove now. And I used to be able to buy 2 at once. Now they're selling them one. So all I'm trying to say is, you got to die to self. Only your ego will stop you from living your true way of life. You worry about what other people think. Yeah. You only worry about what other people think. You understand? And so, I want you all to be encouraged. We ain't just asking you to believe. We got books. Purchase the books. This book here, the message of the Messiah to the world, gives clear instruction on what the actual message was, along with the Evangel, which is the actual book of Revelation. But this one goes into tithing, how we dress, what was the law, do we follow the law. All of that is in this particular book here. This book on atonement goes through all of the various, what do we observe, and which date do we observe it on. That's what Mom said on TV. Y'all worrying about the Sabbath. Do you follow everything? Do you follow all the feasts and all of this? No, I was like, yep. Because they're ironing. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But that's the argument they're gonna have. You sitting there arguing about the Sabbath, But you don't know nothing about Rosh Hashanah. You don't know nothing about Hanukkah. Hanukkah is coming up. Every year we gotta keep explaining it so you can learn how to do it. And we'll get better at it until we become it. See the Festival of Lights with the boats? That's Hanukkah.
Hanukkah, that's the main of it.
That's Hanukkah, Festival of Lights. They just put it on boats. You understand? But in that book, it explains to you what it really means and how we really celebrate it and how we're supposed to have the candles and the lights around the house and what you're supposed to put on your door. It's there. Claim it. Redeem yourself. With that I say, Amun.
You have been listening to the True Light Fellowship Hour, brought to you by the Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah, Journey Home Group International, located Meadow Street, Bain Town, and led in the Bahamas by Pastor Cleveland W. Eneas III. If this message has been a blessing for you today, and you feel it in your heart to assist us in bringing forth this weekly message by way of advertising or otherwise, or you wish a copy of this message, we ask that you please contact us at 242-426-1148 or email us at qubticrevealer@gmail.com. That's QUBTIC revealer@gmail.com, or on Facebook, the Qubtic Church of the Black Messiah, Journey Home Group International, Bahamas Branch. We bow to the divinity in you all by saying Namastu.
Yakakati ya muinanga molili eluti mingingana kukukateo okolo yabikamwa yonde winda ya muinanga